Fragile peace of the Middle East was shattered this past Saturday, March 1st, 2026. The United States, alongside its close ally Israel, launched a massive and coordinated series of airstrikes against targets deep inside Iran. President Trump announced that these operations were designed to be a decisive blow against Tehran's military infrastructure. The stated goals were clear and, honestly, pretty ambitious: to dismantle Iran's missile capabilities, cripple its naval forces, and most critically, to permanently halt its pursuit of nuclear weapons. The White House has suggested this campaign could last for 4 to 5 weeks, or potentially even longer, signaling a commitment to a prolonged and intense military engagement that has immediately sent shockwaves across the entire globe. This dramatic escalation did not occur in a vacuum. Tensions have been simmering for months, punctuated by a series of proxy conflicts and standoffs. The recent strikes, however, represent a direct and unprecedented confrontation. The US administration has framed this action as a necessary preemptive measure to ensure regional stability and prevent a nuclear-armed Iran. Yet, this aggressive move has been met with immediate and fierce condemnation from Tehran and its allies. The opening salvo of this conflict has set the stage for a wider war, one whose boundaries are expanding with each passing hour, drawing in new actors and threatening to engulf neighboring countries in the ensuing chaos. A key target in the initial wave of attacks was Iran's Natanz nuclear facility. This site, long a point of international contention and suspicion, was reportedly struck again by American forces, a repeat of a similar incident in 2025. For Washington, neutralizing Natanz is central to its strategy of preventing nuclear proliferation. The facility represents the heart of Iran's enrichment program, and its destruction is seen as a critical step in dismantling the country's atomic ambitions. However, for Iran, the attack is a profound violation of its sovereignty and a direct assault on its scientific progress, ensuring that its response would be equally significant and aimed at America's own interests. The most significant and immediate consequence of the American-led strikes was the death of Iran's supreme leader. His demise, confirmed shortly after the initial bombardment, has created a massive power vacuum at the very top of the Iranian regime. In the wake of this monumental event, an interim leadership council has been hastily appointed to manage the country and its war effort. While a formal election to choose a successor is pending, the day-to-day military operations are now believed to be firmly in the hands of the powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC. This shift introduces a new layer of volatility, as the IRGC is known for its hardline stance and may pursue an even more aggressive retaliatory strategy. Iran's response to the US and Israeli strikes was swift, widespread, and honestly, just ferocious. The regime unleashed a multi-pronged assault, deploying a fearsome combination of drones, ballistic missiles, and, for the first time in this conflict, conventional warplanes. The targets were not limited to military installations but included strategic and civilian centers across the region. Israel, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Jordan, and Iraq all found themselves in the crosshairs. This broad retaliation demonstrated Iran's reach and its willingness to transform a bilateral conflict into a regional free-for-all, making it clear that no US ally in the vicinity would be considered a safe haven from its wrath. The human cost of this rapidly escalating war has been devastating. The civilian death toll has climbed relentlessly since Saturday, with over 550 reported killed in Iran from the airstrikes. In a particularly deadly Iranian missile attack on the Israeli city of Beit Shemesh, at least 9 people lost their lives. In Lebanon, retaliatory Israeli strikes against Hezbollah targets have resulted in at least 52 deaths and displaced over 28,000 people. Across the Gulf, at least 6 more civilians have been killed in various strikes. These numbers represent real lives torn apart, families destroyed, and communities plunged into fear and mourning, a grim testament to the brutal reality of modern warfare. The conflict has also been marked by significant military setbacks and tragic errors. The United States has confirmed the deaths of 4 of its service members, with 5 others seriously wounded. President Trump has somberly warned the American public to prepare for more casualties as the fighting continues. Compounding these losses, a shocking friendly fire incident occurred over Kuwait, where local air defense systems mistakenly shot down 3 American F-15 jets. Fortunately, all the crew members survived. This incident, along with another F-15 crash in Kuwait, also suspected to be friendly fire, highlights the immense confusion and danger inherent in a crowded and chaotic battle space. The United Kingdom has also been drawn more directly into the fray. A drone, believed to be of Iranian origin, struck the Royal Air Force Base at Akrotiri in Cyprus, causing limited damage but representing a significant escalation. While the UK has permitted the US to use its bases for what it terms defensive strikes, it has publicly ruled out joining any offensive operations against Iran. This attack on British sovereign territory, however, puts immense pressure on London to reconsider its role. It really underscores the reality that even allies attempting to maintain a degree of distance can be pulled into the heart of the conflict against their will, as Iran seeks to punish any nation perceived as aiding the American war effort. The outbreak of direct military conflict has sent violent tremors through global energy markets. With attacks targeting critical infrastructure, the price of oil surged by as much as 10% almost overnight. Brent crude, a key international benchmark, soared to between $80 and $90 a barrel. This spike was fueled by an Iranian drone attack that set fire to Saudi Arabia's massive Ras Tanura refinery, forcing some of its units to shut down. Simultaneously, Iran's IRGC claimed to have attacked a US-linked oil tanker and effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz, a vital choke point through which nearly 20% of the world's daily oil consumption passes, grinding naval traffic to a halt. The economic warfare extended beyond oil. Iran deliberately targeted a power plant and a major energy facility in Qatar, a nation that plays an outsized role in the global supply of liquefied natural gas. In response to the attack, Qatar Energy made the drastic decision to halt all of its LNG production and exports. The move created an immediate and severe global supply shock, particularly for European nations heavily reliant on Qatari gas. As a result, European natural gas prices skyrocketed by an astonishing 50% in a single day, threatening to plunge the continent into a new energy crisis and raising fears of rationing and industrial shutdowns. The chaos has also crippled the international travel and transport sectors, particularly in the bustling hub of the Middle East. An Iranian drone struck a fuel tank terminal in Abu Dhabi, while missiles and drones damaged parts of Dubai International Airport, one of the world's busiest. In response, major regional carriers like Emirates, Etihad, and Qatar Airways have been forced into massive disruptions. Over 11,000 flights have been cancelled worldwide, stranding at least 1 million travellers and causing logistical nightmares for businesses. The uncertainty has hammered airline stocks, which have fallen by over 5 to 6%, reflecting deep investor anxiety about the conflict's long-term impact on global connectivity. For nations far from the immediate conflict zone, the economic and security reverberations are still deeply felt. Australia, for instance, is now grappling with 2 major concerns. The first is the safety of the estimated 115,000 Australian citizens currently in the region, with the government scrambling to provide assistance and potential evacuation plans. The second is a strategic vulnerability, its national fuel reserves. With only 35 days of fuel on hand, the disruption to Middle Eastern oil supplies poses a direct threat to Australia's economic stability and national security. The government is now under intense pressure to secure its supply chains as the conflict threatens to choke off a vital energy lifeline. The decision to strike Iran has exposed deep divisions within the United States. President Trump's aggressive posture has energized some of his political base, who see it as a necessary action to project American strength and neutralize a long-standing adversary. However, it has drawn sharp criticism from others, including many Democrats who have labeled the conflict a war of choice with unpredictable and potentially catastrophic consequences. This political schism complicates the administration's ability to maintain a unified national resolve for a potentially long and costly war. The debate rages on about whether this path leads to greater security or a more dangerous and unstable world. The international reaction has been equally fractured, revealing a lack of consensus among traditional allies. While the UK has offered limited defensive support, other key European partners have kept their distance. Spain, for example, explicitly denied the United States the use of its military bases for the operation. NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte has been clear that the alliance as a whole will not become involved, though he acknowledged that individual member states are free to support the US. Meanwhile, Turkish President Erdogan has called for an immediate ceasefire, condemning the US-Israeli strikes as illegal and launching a diplomatic effort to de-escalate the crisis, positioning Turkey as a potential mediator. In the midst of this chaos, Iran's new interim leadership has projected an image of defiance. Top security official Ali Larijani has publicly dismissed any possibility of negotiations, declaring that Iran is fully prepared for a long and grueling war. This hardline stance suggests that Tehran's primary goal is not a swift resolution, but to inflict maximum pain on the United States and its allies in retaliation for the strikes and the death of its supreme leader. The regime appears determined to prove its resilience and its capacity to withstand external pressure, even at the cost of immense suffering for its own people and profound instability across the entire Middle East. The conflict has now set the region and the world on a perilous and uncertain course. The risks are monumental. For the Middle East, there is the immediate danger of a full-blown regional war that could draw in more countries, shatter economies, and create a humanitarian crisis of unimaginable scale. For the rest of the world, the conflict threatens to trigger a global recession through sustained high energy prices and disrupted supply chains. With diplomacy sidelined and military action escalating daily, the path forward is shrouded in darkness. The ultimate outcome remains unknown, but the potential for a wider, more destructive catastrophe grows with every missile fired